can't tell you how many business owners I have gotten so aggravated with because we are doing real business together. And these are successful people, but they do not live and die by their calendar. They're shooting from the hip. They're making decisions without, asking their assistant, whatever the case is, and they end up fucking me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to day 7 of the 30-day challenge inside of the Uncaged free group. So we're officially a week into this, and it's one of my favorite ones. And some people hate me for this, but I love time blocking. I don't always follow it 100% of the time. Let's just be 100%, transparent there. But it is an absolute game changer for getting this accomplished and having specific times associated to specific tasks. Now, with that said, I don't operate this way with Uncaged like I have in the past. In the past, what we'll talk about is there's going to be some days where you need to have specific days for specific tasks because the way subconsciously you wake up and are prepared for the day is completely different. I talk about it a lot inside of VIP on our roundtable calls and even some of the expert calls when I talk about flow state. Now, I don't know what flow state is for you. I don't know how long it takes you to get into flow state. The average person takes about 45 minutes. Me, it takes me a little bit longer, but when I get into it, I'm in the zone. And that's what stuff like time blocking and having specific days for specific tasks is going to be able to do for you. So for example, what I mean about specific days for specific tasks, let's say for example, on podcasts. So I guess actually technically I do. On Thursdays, I record my podcasts. I have to record. Today is a Thursday. I'm going to be recording on my podcast for today. I will have it edited this evening. I will have it scheduled. I'll have it prepared. I will have it set in all the automations so that on Fridays, I know, again, Fridays are when it releases. So on Friday, first thing I do, I know part of my routine is when I wake up, I get in there, I send the automation to send out the text inside of Uncaged. Many of you guys get it. That lets you know, hey, the new podcast just dropped. And it's going to drop 8 a.m. local time. I'd like to get it out to you guys a little bit earlier. In the future, we probably will set up some sort of terms and conditions where you get to pick how early you want it. But to stay with FCC guidelines and stuff like that, it goes out at 8 a.m. to your local time zone. And that's just the way we operate. But now I know, like on Thursdays, I wake up and I know I am in the mental state that today's a podcast day. When I used to run my previous organization, I had days specifically where I recorded my own podcasts. I recorded my own trainings. I knew it was a studio day, as well as for other people that wanted me to come on their podcast. I only had a calendar associated to one day a week where I was on other people's podcasts. So I would know when I woke up, for back then it was a Thursday. When I woke up on Thursdays, I was in the mental preparedness to say, hey, we're going to go pour into other people on their channel. And it's, for those of you who do podcasts, it's a very different mental state when recording your own, where you have to be the one that's vigilantly coming up with the thought processes. Whereas when you're a guest on someone else's, you get to go with the flow. You get to answer the questions and you get to be a lot more fluid with the way that you respond. So it's a different thought process. So when you have different days of the week for different tasks, maybe it's admin tasks, maybe it's HR tasks, maybe you're out in the field Monday through Friday or Thursday, but on Friday, you're wrapping up the week, you're sending out the invoices, you're checking accounts receivables, you're following up with people, whatever the case is, you will be able to have a specific skill set that you're focused on by the time you wake up, which will allow you to get into your flow state much quicker. So what we'll be talking about today is time blocking. We talked about yesterday going through and creating a time analysis and or having a time journal, which is going to show you where there's some leaks in your pipes, right? We're going to repair those leaks by eliminating some of those tasks that you're doing where you're just spinning your wheels. And how do we do so? It's by framing out what your week looks like in theory. Now, the beautiful thing about when I teach people how to time block, what you will originally do, because your homework today is going to go create your own time block schedule. Now, what you're doing today is based on theory. So in a nice, closed off environment with no distractions. Let's get you into that flow state, and you're going to sit down and you're going to vigilantly create based on your time analysis that you created yesterday and seeing like what times you need to be accomplishing what task, when are you more efficient at it, right? Like for you, if you're a more creative person, maybe your creativity starts to flow immediately in the morning, right? So you need to be doing your creative tasks during the morning time. Maybe it's in the afternoon. Maybe it's right after you had lunch and you're nice and comfortable, whatever the case is. Maybe you operate a little bit more freely, right, on specific times, like whatever the case is. This is how you start to figure this out. So on theory, you're going to create your time block today, your time block schedule. Now, it's theory. There's no application behind it. So what's going to happen is you'll do this today. Then over the course of the next week, 2 weeks, whatever the case is, you will start to see, all right, man, maybe this time block doesn't work the best right here. Maybe I need to shift that down here. Or maybe I need to take it from on a Monday and I need to set it to a Thursday because I have a lighter load. This is going to help show you, and this is going to be a living document for you to start changing based on actually applying things to your life. So I'll go ahead and start showing you guys what my time block schedule looks like. Again, this is what works for me. I created one on theory, and it worked great on theory when I created it. However, when I started to actually apply it to my life, I realized that we needed to make some adjustments in the times. So you'll see what time I wake up and do my devotions. You'll see what time, for example, I get some of my exercise in when I have some phone-free family time, getting Lottie ready, take Lottie to school. I have some availability time. Now, the reason all this space is available, I'm actually at the gym during this time. Now, the reason I opened it up is because some of the automations didn't like that there was some time blocks in there, which wouldn't allow some of the people to call in and schedule on my calendar. So what happens is during these times, I'm actually in the gym working out, but people are able to go ahead and get on my calendar. Let's see, I'm sure there's some that pop up over here. You'll start to see that people schedule on my calendar during those timelines. So I'm actually, I'm getting multiple different things done. Now, I have had that schedule blocked off because we're getting prepared for the 30-day challenge, so it's going to look a little bit differently. But during this time, I'm at the gym, which allows me to also be able to get on the phone with some of the members. Now, from there, we have different days, right? You can see I have different tasks on specific days. Record the podcast, promote the podcast. I keep Fridays always blocked off, so there's no open availability on any schedule for my Fridays because that's where I'm really getting some heavy work done before the weekend ends. But then you start to see I got things color coded. Anything that's red is directly associated to actually Uncaged, and then there's different things that different color codes mean. The cool thing is when you start to get really, really efficient here, I've got SOPs created for everything inside of Uncaged. And so on these time blocks, I'm actually able to come in here and hard post inside SOPs that are directly associated to what we need to be doing inside of Uncaged and how we do it and things like that. So once you start to take this to the next level, you'll be able to start putting in actual documents into these time blocks to make your life significantly easier with, I've got documents, I've got the copy already, so you can just copy and paste things. I've made it very, very easy. So that's what all those green time blocks are going to be, SOPs that I've hard mounted into my calendar now. So this is the creativity that you will be able to start to come up with when you get very, very specific on creating time blocks for you and your calendar. Now, the thing that I want to stress about this probably the most is while I said you are making these decisions based on theory, when you start to make actual changes, you will eliminate distractions now. You will create your time blocks based on theory on because you just started your time analysis yesterday. You're not making an actual educated decision. You're just thinking back on memory. Man, what do I typically do from, 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. or 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 7 or 7 to 10 and 10 to 1 or 1 to 5, whatever the case is, you're going to be thinking back on memory. So this is going to be created on theory first, but it needs to be focus time. You need to be in your flow state when you do this. You need to be as vigilant as possible when building this. Whereas you're going to start over the next week or two refining this. Maybe this needs to be moved here. Maybe this needs to be moved here. This needs to be changed to here. While you're doing that, I need you to get back to this flow state. I need you to be back with no distractions, and I need you to be very, very focused on what you are doing with your calendar. Again, now this isn't based on theory. You took the theory, you applied it to your life. These are action steps and notes that you've been taking along the way. Like, hey, maybe this didn't work out today. Now what? All right, I like this at this time, but Tuesdays, it's just proven with my personal schedule that this isn't the best day for this activity. Let's move it to Wednesday. Whatever the case is. Also, make sure that if you're in VIP, you're putting roundtable calls every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, expert calls every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You've got it, very important that you show up on those calls. But anyways, once you do that, I need you to be focused, and here's why. Because when you take this time block calendar and you actually live and die by your calendar, you're going to start getting into the trenches again. When you get into the trenches, shit's going to come awry. Things are going to come at you sideways, and your natural response is going to be able to just, let's shoot from the hip. Let's make decisions on the fly. Whereas you aren't thinking clearly. When you were in that flow state, sitting down and making the adjustments of this, you were thinking clearly. You were thinking strategically. You were not thinking emotionally. So a lot of the things that I like to do when it comes with a calendar here is setting proper expectations inside of that calendar, whether that's with your family, whether that's with your employees, your bosses, whether that's with your clients, whether that's your customers, whether that's your own employees, not coworkers, contractors, whatnot, is you get to make and set proper expectations. So what I mean by that is I now don't tell people, hey, I will get this to you by the end of day. Because when I tell someone that I'm going to get you something by the end of the day, what am I going to do? Probably going to wait till the last minute because it wasn't on my calendar. So there's other things that are taking priorities. I have profit producing tasks to get done. I have forward progressing critical tasks to get done. I've got 3 other critical tasks that I have determined has to be done today because they are critical. They are critical. So my response to you is I will get this information to you and I set proper expectations. If it takes you longer to get something done, hey, I'll get it to you by the end of the week or next week or whatever, that's fine. But if it is something that is, going back to what we learned, it's urgent and it's important, that's fine. But you don't have to drop everything that you're doing most of the time to get it accomplished right now. So instead of telling someone, hey, I'll get this to you by the end of the day, you're going to wait till the last minute anyways. You're going to get it to them by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever the end of the day is for you. And guess what? They're a normal person too. They're trying to clock out and go home too. They're trying to get back to their family. They're trying to go to the bar and start drinking, whatever that is. But they have other distractions as well. So you just put all this pressure on yourself to get it done by the end of the day because it's a fucking buzzword. And now what? Now look at you. You stress yourself and you fucked up your entire calendar to get this one reactionary task, not proactive, reactionary task done. You got it to them at 4:59. They're clocking out and they're going home. They don't even care about it. They're not even going to get to it until the next morning when they clock in at 9 a.m. and fire up their email. So I tell them, hey, I'll have it done and ready for you by the time you clock in tomorrow. It'll be in your email first thing in the morning. Now I've bought myself, 8, 10, 12 hours worth of time. I'm now not locked into anyone else's schedule, anyone else's time frame. I'm not allowing anyone else to control my calendar. I do. Daddy controls the calendar, and I continue on my time blocks, and I continue on getting through my critical tasks. And now that promise becomes a critical task for tomorrow. And so I just move and I prioritize that based on time. Maybe your day starts at 8 a.m. where theirs starts at 9 a.m. You now have an hour long to get that critical task done. Okay, maybe it's going to take a little bit longer. Maybe you got to wake up at 7, at 6, at 5, at 4, whatever the case is. Maybe you need to have a conversation with your wife and say, hey, babe, like I got to work a little bit later today. I was able to get all my critical tasks done for today, but I did have an oddball occurrence where I do have a fire that needs to be put out. So I'm going to get that accomplished so that I can wash my hands of it. I can let that get out of my subconscious and not be distracting me while I'm at home with you and the family and I'm stressed about it. So now what you're doing is you're taking back control. Now, there will be a once in a blue moon where you need to drop everything and get to that task and get it accomplished. And that is totally fine. But here what we're doing now is we are allowing ourselves to get very, very focused. Now, one of the other important rules that I need to tell you is you need to have buffers in your calendar to appropriately handle some of these oddball occurrences, because you will get thrown curveballs. Things will come up. Fires will start. So if you noticed in my, I'll pull it up on the screen now. If you notice on my calendar, I have specific times to be handling critical tasks. While that is in there, I also have time blocks where I have to come back and make sure those critical tasks got done. So these are time blocks. These are buffers. Whereas if something did throw me off, which something will try to throw you off, I now have a buffer in there to be able to dictate what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. If I need to make some changes between today's critical task and tomorrow's critical task and swap them out, that's fine. But these critical tasks are getting accomplished. And everything in that time block or in my schedule, for the most part, does have appropriate amounts of buffers before and after in case things roll over, in case things need to be pushed up, pushed back, whatever the case is. And guess what? If it can't, if that is someone else's, if they are forcing you into a reactionary decision, you have the right to say no. You have the right to say that I cannot change this time because I have non-negotiables before it or after it that I cannot move. Because what ends up happening is you bend over backwards for this person, and then you have to make adjustments for here, and there's 3 people attached to this responsibility, and then it just fucks up your entire schedule. When you have your rules in place in a time block like this, you have control. You get to make educated decisions instead of just guessing. I can't tell you how many business owners I have gotten so aggravated with because we are doing real business together. And these are successful people, but they do not live and die by their calendar. They're shooting from the hip. They're making decisions without, asking their assistant, whatever the case is. And they end up fucking me or other people or people that I've referred to because they have now tried to bend over backwards for everyone else, making decisions on the fly without having rules set in place for their time, your most valuable asset, and it screws everything up. I'm trying to protect you from that because it puts a bad taste in my mouth for that business owner because I'm frustrated with them now. They've now affected me, and that trickles down to everyone else that I have an ability to impact or work with or have a call with or whatever the case is, and then it makes me look bad. So here, I get to reference back to it. Sorry, man, can't do it. I actually have a time blocked. I got a hard stop at the top of the hour. I'd be more than happy to try and jump in and jam with you the last 15 minutes, but I'm not pushing it back, and affecting 45 minutes of my dedicated time to someone else. So now you actually have things to reference when you're having conversations and communicating with other people about this. Not only that, when you live and die by your calendar like this, you can start implementing automations into your life and giving people specific calendars for specific things, going back to having specific days for specific tasks. You get to have specific calendars for specific types of phone calls and conversations. I've probably got 7 different calendars that I use inside of Uncaged for both free group members and VIP members, as well as all the BAP coaching and, for us, the internal team calls, where I can send out links, and those links have specific time blocks that they're only allowed to schedule in, and some are only on specific days, and some are specific platforms. A majority of our calls are done on Zoom. I like seeing people. I like seeing people's body language. I like knowing that they're paying attention and taking notes, and that this is valuable information is getting passed. But also, as I showed you earlier, I take actual regular phone calls while I'm at the gym. You need help? Cool. Going back to controlling your calendar, I might not be able to get to a conversation with you by the end of the day, right? Because I also have personal responsibilities to my wife and daughter. But I can tell you, hey, we can jam about this while I'm at the gym tomorrow. Here's the link. Boom. Now they get to schedule a regular phone call. It goes on my calendar, and this is what's really cool about this, is all my specific calendar roles have different types of notifications. So I get specific notifications, whether it be 4 hours, 1 hour, even 10 minutes, or even 24-hour warnings. So I am staying up to date on my calendar as best as I can. Do I stick to it 24/7? Absolutely fucking not. It's about 80% of the time. But that 80% of the time that I'm able to stay 100% dialed in on my calendar is night and day difference in me out here trying to shoot it from my hip, take notes in my phone, go back to fucking text messages, get caught up. Everything I need to know is right here. And going back to the automation sequences, I can literally hop onto my calendar 30 seconds before a call, click something, all the information's right there. I know exactly what we're going to be talking about. I know the context of it. I don't have to go back and sit here and trying to figure it out and piece it together while I'm also trying to get this done, drive to and from here, go to the gym, take care of my family, take care of other VIP members, whatnot. Everything that I need to know is in my calendar. It's in the palm of my hands. It's in my pocket 24/7. And it's being able to have access to information like this that's going to make you more efficient, guys. Again, we talked about how important efficiency is yesterday. This right here is going to be a power move. If you have any questions, hop into the thread, ask the questions. I want to see your time blocks. I like the attractive color coding. For me, it allows me to know everything that's green that you saw on my calendar is something that's profit producing. Anything that you see that is, red in there is going to be associated to Uncaged. I have color codes for family associated stuff. I have color codes for all my other business partners and their associations and time blocks. Guys, this is super important. If you have any questions, hop in the thread, ask the questions, brainstorm with other people, because I'm not saying that this way is the right way or the only way. There's going to be other guys out there that test this, have tried this, that have implemented this, and have other brainstorming ideas that might be able to affect you in a better way. And maybe you have a great idea for yourself, because this might not work for everyone. There's some people that time blocking, it doesn't help. But I'm telling you, this might not work for you, but I promise you, you need to at least try it to dictate that for yourself. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.